Good.
All right, we're live.
Finally.
Some audio? With audio? Sounds good. All right, welcome everybody. Good evening, and welcome to Broward Spirit Society, Quarta-feira, Wednesday night, live, ao vivo.
There you go.
And I'm Steve, joined here tonight with Yonara Rocha.
Hello, everybody. Good evening.
Seja bem-vindo.
Thank you. Thank you.
And so I guess we'll start with a prayer.
Okay.
Do you want to do it, or do you want to do paper,
You
rock,
can
scissors?
do it.
Okay.
You can do it.
I always win paper, rock, scissors anyway. So let's just take a moment and let the dust settle. Even though I was just going crazy trying to get the live stream working. So I hope it's working. And try to relax and be calm and focus and just let go of everything that happened before we got here. And let's just take a moment and focus, shifting our attention inwards. So shifting our attention away from the outside world and outer things and focusing inward, and just with each breath in and each breath out, just letting go a little bit more and relaxing. And let's just take a moment and consciously elevate our vibration so we can lift ourselves up. We can talk about elevated things, and we can focus on the higher spheres. And we can ask our mentors, our guides to be with us, our guardian angels, to be here with us, guiding us, inspiring us, and motivating us. As we do this work, tonight we're here to have a little talk, and we're always just focusing on taking the next steps in our journey as spirits in this human experience, that we can always seek and strive every day to follow in the footsteps of our Master, Jesus Christ, who came here so long ago to show us the way, that we can follow in his footsteps, that we can learn how to truly love, how we can learn to put the needs of others ahead of our own needs, and how we can learn to give our time, our attention, our goodwill. So with that, with our attitudes readjusted, our minds are focused, we're ready to begin the work for this evening. So be it.
So be it.
All right. So our speaker on our schedule canceled tonight, so
No.
so I'm not going to throw any names under the bus. So I asked Yonara, I said, what do you want to talk about? And you had a great idea. So I don't know if you want, I'll just go ahead and
Yes.
do you want to introduce it, or? So tonight we're going to talk about the unforgiving servant, or it depends how you translate it. You know, which version you have. The parable of the unmerciful servant. So this comes from the book of Matthew, chapter 18, verse 21 to 35. You can Google it; it'll pop up.
Most people know this parable, so, right?
I don't know.
I guess people know, but it's it's about reflection, I guess.
It's a short parable, I want to say.
Yeah.
So it's not like, it's like when I read it, I was like, it kind of sounds familiar, but it's not like one that, I don't know. a lot
Like
of. I mean, maybe if you're in Spiritus, like then you're like, oh, everybody talks about this. But if you're outside of the center, like nobody's talking about that.
All right. Okay.
yeah,
Okay. Fair enough. Fair enough.
Yeah, not the people I roll with in my hood.
All right.
So the parable of the unmerciful servant. Then Peter came to Jesus and asked, Lord, how many times shall I forgive my brother or sister who sins against me? Up to 7 times? Jesus answered, I tell you, not 7 times, but 77 times. I recognize that part.
Yeah. 7 times.
Yeah.
That one. Yeah.
But yeah, I don't remember the rest of it. So therefore, this is Jesus talking, continuing. Therefore, the kingdom of heaven is like a king who wanted to settle accounts with his servants. As he began his settlement, a man who owed him 10,000 bags of gold was brought to him. And since he was not able to pay, the master ordered that he and his wife and his children and all that he had be sold to repay the debt. At this time, the servant fell on his knees before him. Be patient with me, he begged, and I will pay back everything. The servant's master took pity on him, canceled the debt, and let him go. But when the servant went out, he found one of his fellow servants who owed him 100 silver coins. He grabbed him and began to choke him. Pay back what you owe me, he demanded. His fellow servant fell to his knees and begged him, be patient with me and I will pay it back. But he refused. Instead, he went off and had the man thrown into prison until he could repay the debt. When the other servants saw what had happened, they were outraged and went and told their master everything that had happened. Then the master called the servant in. You wicked servant, he said, I canceled all that debt of yours because you begged me to. Shouldn't you have had mercy on your fellow servant, just as I had on you? In anger, his master handed him over to the jailers to be tortured until he should pay back all he owed. This is how my heavenly Father will treat each of you unless you forgive your brother or sister from your heart.
Well,
it's intense.
It is. It's intense. Let's start it to talk about Peter. I just love Peter. His attitude, because he was a simple man, right? And then he really have that true search to do what's the best for his own transformation. Let's remember the disciple would people like us, and in the presence of Jesus, they transform themselves. And back then it was very normal, and the culture, it was like, I can forgive you 3 times. So if you mess up with me, I can forgive you 1, 2, or 3 times. But
3 strikes and you're out.
2 strikes and you're out. So then you see Peter, like he wanted to look good with Jesus, and he's like, okay, Jesus, what if I forgive 7 times? Double.
Yeah.
So you see the attitude right there. If I forgive like 7 times, right? Would that be enough? Because culture was supposed to forgive 3 times, and if I forgive 7, would that be enough? And then Jesus go back and said, I'll tell you, you have to forgive 7 times 7, which
70, yeah.
70 times 7, which is
like a lot of times.
A lot of times, which really means that you should be always, always, always forgiving. It's not like 1, 2, or 3 times. And then on the same Matthew 18, then he tells the parable. So there is a connection to it. Now, there is a few different translations from the same parable from Matthew 18. And there is one translation that it's really, really interested, is because there was one translation that says that this man owed the king or the boss 10 talents, which is, we have to realize, because that's a very important thing, that was a lot of money back then. When you do a research about this, you find that like if you owe me money, I have all the right in the world to sell you, so you can work and pay my debt. So I had the right. This was back then was the right thing to do. Imagine today. So if you owe me money, I can just sell you, and not only you, I can sell you, your things, your wife, and your kids. So this is how you can see that we definitely live in a better world today than we did back then. But that was normal things. So when Jesus is talking about this parable, he's using examples of the everyday life. It seems absurd to us. But back then, that was, his thing. That's what he did. Okay, that's a part of the story. And then the servant asked for forgiveness. He asked for, okay, I cannot pay you. I swear I pay you back. His knees on the floor. And then his master look at him and he doesn't say, okay, if you can pay this much a month, will be all right. Or, okay, maybe I just sell you and I won't sell your wife and your kids and everybody else. No, he completely, 100% took his debt out.
Just forget about it.
Forget about it. You know what? Forget about it. No questions asked. You're done. You don't have any debts with me. So imagine the situation. So the guys was like, all right, good.
It's like a new lease on life.
Woof, my God, imagine the situation, My kids, myself, I was going to, he had the right to sell me and everything that I have, and now I'm free. So he goes out and he meets another servant that owns him. In that case,
like $100.
Yeah. It was like 10 denarius is the name of the thing. Now, when you do a research, 10 denarius, it's not a little money, but it's about...
Like 10 days' wages, right?
Wages, yeah. It's like, instead, it's a lot less, but it's still, certain good money.
It's not nothing.
Yeah, it's not nothing. And it's not $100 that you can earn in one day. It was money. And then what did he do? He goes ahead and say, no, I'm going to throw you in the prison. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do that. And then the people that were watching what he did were all amazed and was like, what? The servant, the king, the master just released his debt. And now he's got he leaves not even 1% of whatever he owned the master to this guy, and he does exactly the opposite of it. What is wrong with this picture? So they end up going to the king and say, hey, you know that servant that you forgave for millions and millions of dollars? Oh, guess what? He didn't forgive the $10,000. Let's put it that way. For the other servant. And the king comes back and say, you ungrateful servant, and I'm telling you what, if you don't forgive, like my Father in heaven, then he's never going to forgive you. So that's the story in it. Now, when Jesus talks in parables, he is trying to teach us a lesson. Okay, what is that you got from this? You.
Yeah.
Personal opinion. Let's be personal.
Well, when we were talking about it, you told me, and I looked it up and I read it, and I was like, who am I going to be to talk about this? Because I'm pretty guilty. I don't want to talk about it on air.
Not forgiving.
Yeah. But I started thinking about all the people that I haven't really forgiven. Like all the how I was thinking about how much I'm like the wicked servant, you know. But like I have some good excuses, like I have some good reasons, but
All right.
but I was just like, I wonder why she's like wants to talk to me about this today, you know. I was like, maybe there's something I don't know, like
Oh, no.
we have a surprise guest on the panel or something, maybe, you know.
No.
But that's the first thing I thought about was like, you know, what could I be doing better? And, you know, I started thinking about some like situations in my life that I'm like, some things I need to work on, you know. And I don't know like the solution or the answer just yet, but that's the first thing that came to my mind was like, you know, some people that, you know, have a hard time, you know, our relationships are in trouble.
Okay, yeah. Well, yeah, to me, when Jesus was talking about that, in this chapter, he was like talking about restoring relationships, okay? And why restoring? Because relationships, are difficult. It doesn't matter, you know, if it's house or at the center or at work. Usually, it's one of the part that we are really, really weak about it, you know. And that's why, is you said it. Oh, I still have some people that I still need to forgive, and most of us, we are like this, because those are the hard parts in life. And what amazed me is how Jesus could talk about this so long ago, and trying to teach us something that it's like he's talking to us today, because after all these years, we're still having such a hard time with forgiveness. And one of the things that I got it from this, it was because, listen, we love to receive forgiveness. I think it's one of the wonderful feelings is when we do something wrong, and we always do. And then I know there is different measures to do something wrong. It could be something a little wrong, and it could be something bigger, and for some people it can be something huge. But I don't think it matters. The important thing is this: it's great when you receive the forgiveness for the person that we hurt or we did anything wrong with it. And it's a wonderful feeling, and we know it. And we love to receive, but when it comes to in our turn to actually be the one that has to forgive, we have the same hard time as the ungrateful servant. Mm-hmm. You know, and that's the first thing that came to my mind. You know, we love that. We love to receive. It is a wonderful feeling, you know. And sometimes, I don't know about you, but when it happens to me, when you involve, for an example, my kids, that I said something that I shouldn't have said, or I did something that I should have, and then I go, and even when I don't ask for forgiveness, and I know that they forgave me, it's like I feel like so relieved and wonderful.
Yeah, the burden comes off.
Yeah, the burden comes off. Yeah, and how come we have this hard time? How come, even though we know that it's wonderful to receive the forgiveness, it's so hard to forgive?
And really, like, if I'm the one holding a grudge against somebody, like, I'm carrying that burden myself. It's like they say, like, when you're angry, it's like you're holding like a hot coal in your hand and expecting the other person to get burned. You know, it's kind of the same idea. It's like, if I won't forgive, I won't let it go, like, I'm going to suffer because of it, you know, just as much as
But
as
even though, yeah, we still have a hard time.
Yeah, we still want to, we can't let go.
Why you think it's that?
I don't know. I mean, part of it, I guess, it's like if you feel like somebody's done something wrong to you, you feel like you're the victim. Mm-hmm. And some of us like to be victims. We like to be in that spot where we're victimized, where we feel like somebody owes us something, and instead of turning it around and kind of like being more empowered about it and saying like, okay, it's up to me to let this go, and sometimes it's like really has a lot to do with humility, because it's like you have to sort of realize like this isn't doing any good for me to hold on to this. Like I need to let it go, and it's going to help me just as much as it's going to help the other person to let go. And
right. That's wonderful. Let me ask the guys on the back there. Hello, can you close the door, guys? Because it's really affecting us here. Do you mind? Thank you. Okay, sorry about this. It's just the noise coming from over there, and it's anyway. Yes, and that's the reason.
Should we forgive them?
Yeah. Even though we ask, but we forgive them. I swear to God, we forgive them.
We're going to talk about them.
All right.
They can just shut us down anytime.
Yeah. So anyway, this is what really is the bigger reflection in here. We know that feels wonderful to receive forgiveness. And when you put the master, okay, which we can do that type of interpretation, you can put the master that forgives us for millions of dollars, it forgives the debt. To me, it means that we can never, ever repay God for all the wonderful things that He's done to us, and this life that it's so wonderful, this planet that it's beautiful, the life that we have, and everything was for free for us. It was given to us for love, and we can never repay this. And then, but when it comes to a brother and sisters, anything that you do to me, and I think you owe me something, Nobody owes me anything, because if we compare what we owe to God, it's nothing. And that's the comparison that Jesus used, because you're talking about millions of dollars to $10,000, this huge gap between one thing and another, and you still, are forgiven like all the time. Because when God looks at us, they look as children. It's the biggest example of compassion and forgiveness, and in the way that He created us. And then we have to go on the other side and constantly thinking that somebody owes us an apology, and that you owe me because you were rude to me. That it's the feeling of own, like you own me something, and we don't own each other anything. We do the best as we can. Sometimes our best, it's not what you think it's best, but you still, whatever it is that you did, you thought you were doing your best. I don't care if it's you're interested or whatever the reason or the motivation that you had. And why do we do that? Why do we hold the person, the people against ourselves? And then one thing that we have to realize, and I talk to people about this when they say that they have a really hard time forgiving. A lot of people come to me and say, Yonara, I have a really hard time forgiving. The first question that I ask is, well, do you want to forgive? Because most of the time, that's the problem. People don't want to. And if you don't want to, it's just like nobody can help someone that doesn't want any help. That's the first thing when you go to, to any addiction meeting is like, first thing is for you to want it to get help.
You have to admit you have a problem, admitting it.
And then you have to want it, right? If I cannot make you want it.
You can't push somebody into it. They got to want it for themselves.
Yeah, and a lot of people don't want to forgive, believe it or not, even though it's bad for them, even though it's bad for their health, even though it makes them feel strange and off.
And then you could talk to them about it, and it's like what's going to be the solution? Like, how are you going to forgive? Like, what could they possibly do? You know, somebody had posted something one time and said, like, you know, if you drop a plate on the floor and the plate shatters and breaks, and you look at the plate and you say, I'm sorry, it's like, did it fix anything? The plate is still broken. It's like, you know, and that's sort of the mentality is like, well, you know, but like, what's somebody going to do to like move past it? If you don't want to forgive them, you know, like, how could they even possibly, you know, if they said something to you that you didn't like or hurt your feelings, they can't take it back, you know?
No, they can't. And that's the beauty of it, to be honest with you, because the expectation that people own us, respect, that people own us, whatever it is that we are looking for, are the ones that makes us hold the grudge. So when you figure it out that there is nothing that a person can do to take it back, whatever the damage was, it has to stay in the past, you know? Because what needs to be changed is your interpretation of what happens, not the justification. Because I can find justification not to forgive anybody that I want to. Trust me. I can find excuses after excuses after excuses not to forgive. If it's for me, I'm not.
Yeah.
I'm busy. And
nobody ever calls me. That's what's funny. I forget to put my phone on silent because
no, it's all right. Might be one of the scams.
Maybe he's a debt collector.
Yeah. Yeah. So their motivation, you know, whatever it is, because what needs to be work is why do I think that person needs to respect me? They don't. You know, they act whoever it is, but we have this thing, you know, that is said, oh, they have no right to do this. Well, they kind of did because they did it, you know, because if God allows them, you know, to be ignorant and to do that, you are the one who have to develop the mechanisms of your interpretation to truly believe deep inside that whatever that person did is with them, okay? It has nothing to do with you. And if it does, you know, because it could be both ways, we just have to figure it out that we are also so imperfect, you know, and so like mistakes are part of life. Mistakes it will be done in small scale or huge scale, but it will happen. Not to expect mistakes, it's a mistake.
You know, and that's something that you were making me think about too, is expectations. Is like, because I have a lot of different thoughts I've been thinking while you're talking, but one thing is like expectations, like, and one thing I was thinking about is I had a friend that had some trouble and he needed some money, so I lent him a decent amount of money one time. And I was telling myself into it, like, he might not be able to pay this back, you know. So I was kind of actually like forgiving him before I even, like, I was like, you know, like you're doing this, you need to do it with a willing heart. Even if it's something like coming to center, like working in the cantina or doing something, like you give like with a willing heart, with no expectations of like getting anything back. You know, I'm not saying like you should always do that when you're lending money out, but I had that idea, like my friendship with this person is more important than the money, you know. So even if, like, I sort of like landed thinking, like, don't be like sitting there like counting and waiting for it to come back, you know. I mean, I got lucky he did pay it back.
He did pay back?
You know, over a couple of years.
Okay. Oops. Go ahead.
But you know, I wasn't like hounding him or anything. I didn't really expect it to come back. I thought he might actually call me and ask for more. That's what friends are for. But you know, that's something like, I'm not saying I do that all the time, but like, I don't want people calling me asking me for money after they watch this.
Okay.
But he was a really good friend.
If you need money, yeah.
That was before when I had some. But yeah, I mean, sometimes it's like the expectation, like you have to sort of lower your expectations, because having expectations is what leads to the disappointments and the resentments. So if you can let go of the expectation, then you sort of set yourself up like I don't really have to forgive because, you know, like nothing, you know, I didn't, in this case, it's like, if the offense would have been really more like mine, because I sort of knew like he needs the money, he's not going to be able to pay me back, and it's like he wasn't even working at the time. It was kind of like, you know, so it was kind of like, don't expect anything in return, and you won't be disappointed.
Yeah, you see, forgiveness has a lot, you know, that is inside of the action, you know, and be able to forgive. There was a lot going on, like you said. It was the expectation, and also our belief system. You know, we think that if I forgive you, that means that whatever you did was all right, and one thing has nothing to do with the other. I still can forgive you. And even deep in my heart, in my mind, I know that what you did was awful, you know? But we put them together. Like, in order for me to, if I forgive you, it's like I'm telling that person that it's all right to do that. And it's not. And that's why, and some people have a defensive mechanism when we talk about forgiveness. And some people will come up with most horrible stories about, okay, what if, you know, one person kills the other, and then and it's like, okay, let's deal with forgiveness on a regular basis, because did someone kill you or anything like this? Oh no, okay, then, you know, let's bring it to reality. But this is a defense mechanism against the talk, because if you compare to Jesus Christ, you know, we here, whatever, if you're watching at home, if we compare all the pains and suffer that happens to Jesus, was there any comparison, like the parable, with the ones that we suffer today? Where the people come in and don't look it in your face. Well, they didn't hit you. They didn't put you in a cross. They didn't, you know, make fun of you or physical abusing you, you know? And after all this, you know, Jesus going, what did he do? Oh, God, forgive it. They don't know what they're doing. You think Jesus hold a crush with anybody that was there? No, he doesn't. He didn't.
Yeah, even like the Roman soldier was doing his job. You know, like I want to say it's in the gospel somewhere where somebody was saying like, oh, you're just doing your job. Like, go ahead and you're doing execution.
You're doing the execution.
You got to fulfill your duty.
Yeah, and then if you look at it, you know, when Jesus asks us to forgive, it's not because he didn't have to use forgiving in his life. You know, when he said the importance of forgiveness, and he talks about that on the gospel all the time. And at the end, he went to the worst situation ever. And he was able to forgive. And that's the message that we need to get it. You know, it is possible to forgive. It's our duty to forgive, because if we don't forgive, we won't have any relationships. I don't care it's with whom, because constantly you are doing something that reflects on me and looks like it hurting me, that I have the expectation that you should have done it, and then I'm hurt. You know, the things that we got hurt, it's so small. It's like we're spoiled. Okay, if you don't do what I want, I'm hurt. Like child in kindergarten. No, if you don't think like I think, then I'm hurt. If you say your opinion and if you act the way that I don't think it's right, then I'm done with you. Imagine that.
It's funny, I was just having a conversation with my boss last week, and she was like, I feel like I'm in a kindergarten class, you know? She wasn't talking about me, but just like the situation at work. She's like, said the same word, like, I feel like this is kindergarten, like, you know, like, you did this, I did that, you know.
Exactly.
It's like we still haven't gotten there yet.
Yeah. There was a Brazilian song, a gospel song that talks about this, you know, the grace, you know, that Jesus went through, you know, and not the grace, but the pain that he went through that day and that night. It's undescribable to us. I don't know if you watched that movie, the one about Jesus, the one that what's his name did, the actor.
Oh, The Passion.
The Passion. Have you watched it?
No, I didn't watch it.
Okay, all right. He tried to put it the last, you know, the crucifixion of Jesus Christ. And it was shocking. Like you will leave the movie theater in tears and desperation and angry. And I don't know, it's a mixed up of feeling. At least was with me and Luigi, you know, like, oh my God, how could we ever done, you know, something like that to anybody, you know? And then you say, when you judge that, you also reflect on the forgiveness. And this parable, it's so important, and it's so up to date, because I can still relieve you from your debts, you know, because forgiveness is this. I'm relieving you from your debts. That's what it is. But it doesn't mean that I can give you money again, you know. It's okay. So when I said to bring forgiveness to everyday life, okay, the person hurts you 1 time, 2 times, 3 times, 4 times, 5 times in the relationship. And then it comes to the time that you said, okay, I completely forgive you, but I'm not going to open
like
my
allow
heart to
you to do this to me again.
Yeah, I'm leaving, or, you know, but I'm okay not to, you know, if I got upset because a friend of mine told anybody something that it was really not to tell, and I asked, can you please not tell anybody? And then the person go ahead and say it. I can still forgive, think that what she did was awful, but forgive her. But at the same time, said I won't tell her secrets anymore. You know, but I still gonna love her, and because if you really want to be a Christian, I'm sorry, I don't care what you think, but you have to love your enemies. You know, and that's, you know, we don't even try, and the problem with forgiveness is, how do you know? Because religion comes in, you know, and Jesus was like, okay, if you forgive, if you don't forgive, then my Father will never forgive you. So you go, okay, I have to pretend that I forgive. You should see when we're talking in religions, people never have the courage to go in and say, oh, I have, she hurt me and I have this grudge and I hold it and I can't let it go. Everybody acts like, oh, but I forgive him. I had an alcoholic father, but I forgave him. I have this and why? Because holding a grudge is also in a religion world. It's like, you can't do that. No. So a lot of people pretend.
Yeah, they'll forgive outwardly, but inwardly they're still holding on. I knew a guy one time. He was talking. He's like, oh yeah, me and my ex-wife have a great relationship, but he called her a bad word. Like, well, he's saying like my. It was like, okay, did you really forgive her? Like, you just called her that, something I can't say on, online. But you know what I mean? Like, it's like, okay, I don't think you really forgave her.
Now, let me ask you this. Have you ever forgiven a person?
Well, I was just talking about that one time I did the
No,
thing.
the one that you did. One time that you actually, you know what? I forgave that person.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. It's like, as far as certain things I could think of, like my relationship with some family members and things that were really troubled at one point, and like we've sort of gotten to the other side of it,
So you remember a situation that you were able to forgive?
I don't know. You're kind of calling me out, like to say specifically.
No, you don't have to talk about that situation, but there is any situation
it's happened once or twice in my life.
Okay, you forgot. Okay, how do you know?
It's just like I just don't feel angry about it, or I don't feel like they owe me anything.
Mm-hmm.
It was sort of feel like, I don't know. I guess that's why I'm saying is like I sort of look back and like I know there was a time where I didn't really get along with some people, and now it's like we sort of get along better, and it's like I want to say I feel like there's forgiveness there because it's just like I'm not holding on to anything.
Because it's tricky too. Most of the people that they say that they forgive, they didn't. And there was one little thing that I do it to myself, and it really, really, really helped me to realize if I forgave or not. And one of the things is that here's the thing, if I have any problems with somebody that I feel like, I'm angry or hurt or anything like that, one thing that I do is I start to pray for that person, pray. And one of the things that I realized that I actually forgave a person is when deep inside, I wish the best for that person. Because there was a mechanism behind all this that says, I forgive Stephen, he's going to have to deal with God. You still wanted to punish that person. If you don't have the courage to do it, then God will do it, for you. And that's the feeling of revenge, that it's so over there. But when you truly hope for the best to happen to that person, I think it's a great indication that you forgave it.
Yeah, sometimes that's actually where I'll start. Like, if I'm trying to forgive somebody for something, I'll start by like just saying like, well, I hope the things work out for them. I hope they get, I hope they find somebody. I have a laundry list, but it's a good place to start. Yeah. And that's one of the things too. Like I was thinking about is sometimes we say we forgave somebody. It talks about it. I don't know, in the Gospel, the Spirit's book, where like, well, you say you forgave somebody, but then you'll bring that thing up like over and over again. Any chance you get to bring it up and be like, oh yeah, remember that time that you did that to me, or try to humiliate the person. Yeah. It's like you really have to like forgive them and like let it go and like leave it in the past.
Leave it in the past, yes, because it can, bring it back. It's just like husband and wife that talking, and then at the moment they start talking, you say, oh, 6 years ago you did this to me. 5 years ago you did that to me. Last year. Those are signs, that you're still angry about it. And you have to realize, that you are angry, that you are hurt, that, that the person walks in, you tolerate that person. But it's still something in that person, it doesn't feel right to you. So there was a few tricks that we can do it if you decided that you want to forgive. Because if you don't want to forgive, you can use all the methods, all the tools in the world, and you still won't be able to do it.
Well, fake it till you make it.
Yeah.
So.
Fake it until you make it. It's a start. But and then the last thing is that I wanted to talk about it. It's when Jesus told us, every single lesson. It's not because he wants us to go to heaven, or nosso lar. No, he wants us to be happy. That's why. He's not telling you to forgive so God will look at you and say, good boy, Stephen. It doesn't matter. He loves you the same way. And that's pretty annoying when you see, okay, I'm here trying to do my best, and trying to transform and trying to do this and try to do that. And then it comes Jesus, and he loves the worst murderer the same way that he loves me. So
I deserve better.
So it's, what I'm saying, it's the fact that you love just because you love. You do it because you care about love, and it's about you. People don't realize how much suffering there is to a person that doesn't forgive. So Jesus was like, okay, forgive, because, we forgave you. You're here, you have these wonderful things. You have no debts, you're free, you're good. And just go ahead and forgive the others. Because if you do it, it's going to be good for you. Not for me, but for you.
Yeah, I remember saying that to somebody one time. They were like not forgiving somebody. They were like so mad, and they were talking about somebody. And I was like, do you think that person is like thinking about you right now, like all mad at you? Like, I bet like they're at home, like sleeping now, like just having, and you're here like being all angry and stuff and not letting it go, and you're the one that's suffering. Like, and you think that they owe you an apology or they're going to do something. Like, just forget about it. Like, let it go. Like, it's not easy, but work on it.
Work it on it, yeah. And I've been through situations in life. We have to realize we have some wounds from childhood, that we still need to forgive. And how do we stop? Because it feels like we are adding, the ground, one after the other. Besides not releasing everything,
we're adding more baggage.
Adding more. We're adding more to it, And it's, we have to find a way to stop, at least adding, and then you deal with the ones that are here. Because if you have the tendency not to forgive and to hold a ground, you will be more and more and more and more and more and more every day, because people are going to be people. No matter what. They're just going to be whoever they are, even if you like it or if you don't like it. So you might as well...
if you can't beat them, join them.
You might as well accept them, and don't think that we're going to go through life without anybody hurting us. People will hurt us just because, it's in us. We are projecting, we have expectation, we think people own us, anything. When we stop doing that, then people will stop hurting us.
My friend Sam used to say, I keep my expectations low and my acceptance high, and I'm never disappointed.
There you go. That's a good one.
So our producers are telling me it's time to wrap it up.
Okay.
I don't know if you have anything, if it's a good time. I feel like we covered a lot of ground.
Yes, we did. We cover a lot of grounds, and I would just invite everybody to read at home this parable. It's in Matthew 18. Really go through it, and reflect on it, because, you did an amazing job for me. So maybe we'll do it for you if you read with an open heart and really try to get the message.
So you can
Even if you have a different interpretation than we had, it's fine. But try to figure it out, in your life, what makes sense.
Every time I read through some of this stuff, it's like whatever is going on at that time is like the lens that I'll see it through. So like when I read it this time, I was like, it brought up a couple like names specifically that, it's like, and I'm sure like in a couple of years, if I check it out again, like it'll be something different. But
and then you see yourself as being the master, you see yourself as being the servant, you see yourself for being the dad, depends on what's going on in your life. What do you see, what you feel when you read that? It's also important.
Well, thank you so much for bringing this topic for us. I learned something today, and I know I have more, like I would go home and write in my little blank book, a few more pages, what things to let go of.
All right.
I don't know as far as announcements goes. We're still meeting here Wednesday nights, but next week, I guess,
yes,
allegedly, we're going to have
people here.
Human beings.
Yes. We will have incarnated people here. And we would like to invite you to come here and watch us live. Really live.
Yeah, like alive.
Like alive here.
Breathing.
With us next Wednesday at 8 p.m. Or you can come out on Saturday at 6:30 or Monday at 8 p.m. Our center will be open as long as, we're still wearing the mask and we're still keeping the distance. And also a lot of people here at the center are already vaccinated. If you can, go get your shots. Open up on Monday to anybody at any age, 16 and up.
I just registered yesterday, actually, to get my place in line. So I don't know when they'll call me back, but I'm keeping my fingers crossed. Maybe it'll be sooner than later. But
oh, they will.
Yeah.
They will, because it's going fast. I was there yesterday to get my second dose, and it was wonderful. And people, yes, I feel fine. I took my second dose yesterday. I had no side effects, anything. Only a little bit of the pain when I lift my arm. But other than this, I'm good.
Beats the alternative.
Yeah.
So yeah. Well, I think it's your turn to pray.
All right. Let's wrap it up and let's close our eyes and let's just bring the image of Jesus to us right now. So, dear Master Jesus Christ, thank you so much for all this teaching that we are still struggling with to understand or actually to do it. And please, we ask you never to give up on us, even though we know you won't. We just want to feel closer to you. Sit in your lap sometimes, look at your eyes, hold your hand, because we need guidance here on earth. On our level of evolution, everything sometimes seems to be so hard. We just wanted to follow your steps. follow your teaching, hold the charity flag, and continue to work within to find that wonderful person that is inside of us, the love, the fraternity, the forgiveness that I know that we can manifest it. We ask, dear Master Jesus Christ, for our planet this time, for everybody that is sick in hospitals, not only here at home in the United States, but in Brazil, all over the world, so they might receive our good fluids to establish their health. And we pray, dear Master Jesus Christ, for the healing of our planet. We ask for those that it's on the streets or in a very worse situation than us. And we are so grateful for the mentors that are here tonight, inspiring us, here with us. We're so grateful for all the disincarnated spirits that came here today to watch us talk about this wonderful achievement that we need to exercise on our daily life, which is forgiveness. Thank you so much. So be it.
So be it.
All right. Good night. Cut. No?